Hi, this is Cheryl for Bears Pampered Stampers. Today I want to talk to you about decorating or covering the Folio 3 by Photoplay. We put it together. As you remember, it's a tall and skinny folio. It's about, excuse me, 4.5 inches wide, 8.5 inches tall. And so it's a tall, skinny thing. It's got lots and lots of pages in it. But the good news is they're all pages and waterfalls, so they're really easy to cover over. There's no pockets in this folio at all, which is crazy. We can add some of those if you want, but there are none at this point in time. So again, remember you've got the waterfall on one side, you've got on the other side, underneath, sort of hidden underneath this, you've got lots and lots of pages. So you need to decide what paper you want to use. Because it is 8.5 inches tall, your best option is going to be 12 by 12 paper, because you'll probably want to use a pattern paper. There's not that many sets of 8.5 by 11 pattern paper. That would also work. But 12 by 12 works. I decided for mine to use a Photoplay kit called Craftin' with My Nomies. Let me try and get the cover in here. You can see lots and lots of bright papers with this collection. Way fun. The thing I like about using the collections is that when you use this, you know all these papers are meant to go together. There's no worrying, does this really go with that? Yes, it does. It's part of the same collection, so you don't have to stress. You also get a lot of cool things. A sticker sheet, which is a lot of fun. You can see I made a lot of use of that sticker sheet already, and there's still plenty more to go. There's cut apart. You can kind of see the small picture here of the cut aparts for that set, as well as the full sticker sheet when I haven't pulled half the stickers off. Excuse me. So you've got lots and lots of things that you can decorate with and add to the album with. So it's really just, to me, it's a smart decision to go with the kits. Photoplay certainly makes them. Echo Park, Cartabella, there's several companies that do, but it gives you the comfort again of knowing you have papers that go together. A lot of times you'll get two of each kind of paper, which is nice, because you'll want to have some extra. Again, working with an 8.5 inch high item is a little bit challenging at times. So here's what I ended up with. This is my Craftin' with My Nomies Folio 3. So really, to decide to add the paper, you just have to decide which paper you want on your cover versus your insides. You need a good ruler. All you're going to do is you're going to measure, and you're going to reduce the measurement that you see here, 4.5 inches, by 1/4 of an inch. And that's how I know what to cut my paper that covers over the top. Now, I have left that 1/4 inch all the way around as kind of a, excuse me, as a margin, so that the white shows, it frames things nicely and everything else. You could choose to come closer to your edges. If you want to do that, maybe you want to be closer to that 4.5 inch measurement, if not exactly on it. You'll have some challenges when you get to folds, things like here, if you do that, but you can do it. You just have to work around it. So here I cut another piece. This one, I believe, is 1.5 inches on the back. I think I went a little wider than 1.25 inches just to fill up this space a bit more. I added some of my stickers, of course, to the spine. And I used the same paper on the back. Again, you have so many choices. You can use different papers on all three sides. Whatever you like. There's no right or wrong answer with this. There really is not. Again, as long as you're within a paper kit, you know everything matches and goes together. Even if you're outside of a paper kit, there's many, many paper collections out there. Graphic 45 is another one, where you know that the papers that are part of the collection go with it. So here we go. Here's our finished sort of folio. I added one of the cut aparts, trimmed down a little bit on this panel. Here's our waterfall. Waterfalls are super easy to cover. This was a 4x6 piece that I cut and just pasted it on. You can do that very easily. I chose a different paper for the insides and a different paper yet to cover these little areas where we attach the pages. You can choose, again, to make them all the same or all different, keeping in mind that you have limited paper unless you choose to buy extra. You're going to have to make some decisions and do some mixing and matching. So I kept these consistent all the way through. Got to my back, I went to my striped paper to cover this back part here. My little tab at the bottom, you can see, I covered in one of the back B sides of the paper, or the back sides of the paper. That matches again with all the colors that I'm working with, but isn't quite as noisy. And so it worked quite well for me. For closures, they provide to you magnet sets that you can use on the two sides to keep these areas closed. The problem with using the magnets is they're just not strong enough to hold through 2 or 3 or 4 layers of paper. You generally don't want to sit them on top like we did the Velcro here. So you'd have it buried under the paper. Again, it may not hold as well as you want it to. So just think about that. These little Velcro sets Melissa carries, they're easy to use. They're a slim line, so they're not as thick as normal Velcro, and they'll work very well to keep these things sort of wrangled. My waterfall isn't going to go anywhere now. But yet not look real obtrusive. It's a tiny circle there, a tiny circle on this end, which you can hardly see because it's pretty transparent. And good strong hold. Now on the other side, we had our sets of pages. This little guy is also from the cut apart page. I just loved him. So my cover here, front and back, I used the striped paper. It doesn't have to be. Pick what you like. Here I chose 2 different papers and alternated the left side pages with those. Again, this is the back side to the cut apart page, actually, right here. Because these are about 4 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall, or at least 8 1/4, they take up most of one page just to give you 3 pages worth of coverage. So again, keep it in mind. It uses a lot of paper. On my right side pages, I used the pink, which is a B-side paper for one of the others. I can't remember what it is. And the cute little hearts. And I showed you that off camera, so it's not going to help you too much. Let me just flip through again. But it's alternating between the hearts and the pink. So again, you have choice on how to do that. These pages, again, are super easy. All you have to do is measure. And so, again, our page measurement is just under 4 1/4, or right about 4 1/4 by, excuse me, 8 inches. So you want to reduce that a little bit when cutting your pattern paper. Again, I usually do a 1/4 inch. You can choose to do a little less. we have our sort of no man's land, the center territory here, which I kept in that stripe. Again, you pick what you like. Another sort of controversial area that you can decide if you want to cover or not is these little areas. You don't have to put paper on there. You can just leave them white if you like. To me, it looks a little unfinished if you don't cover them over. So I do, but you don't have to. My strip's about 3/8 of an inch wide by, this is probably 4 inches or 4 1/8. And so super, super easy to do. Again, I used Velcro on this side for closure. Velcro is also going to give me a little expansion room as I fill those pages with my memories and pictures and everything else. I can move this or adjust it as I need to, and it's still going to close fine. It's a little harder to do that with the magnet. So as a whole, the book just closes like this. There is no outer closure by design to go with this folio. You certainly could do a number of different things if you wanted to do that. And maybe I'll do something a little later on that talks about alternative closures that you could use for the folios. You know, there's always the fun one that's the button and the string and things like that if you feel like it needs to be kept closed. But this is going to stay pretty well on its own. It's a nice thick book already, and it doesn't have any pictures or anything in it. So you can only imagine where this is going. Now I wanted to show you what's left of my 12 by 12 paper. This came with 6 different designs. One of them is the cut aparts. Excuse me. And there were 2 of each sheet, plus the sheet of stickers. So what you saw that I used in the book, I have these few things left of the cut aparts. I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to mix knitting with cropping. Again, it depends on how you craft and what you craft. There's a lot of different things covered in this kit. We've got cross stitch, knitting, so all sorts of sewing, all sorts of different things. So you decide how much or how little of it that you want to use. I didn't use this. I think this is just absolutely darling, but I didn't use it simply because it didn't fit that 4.5 inch skinny book very easily. So that was a bit of a problem for me. On the other pages, I have small scraps left. I have the 3 or 4 inches from the bottom that I used. You can see for my cover, I took this cut apart page and I simply cut out these 2 characters for the cover. These 2 characters are elsewhere in the book. So make use of these however you want. They don't have to stay intact in the format that they give you. This is one of the papers. This is the back side of that cute little heart paper that I used. Again, I didn't choose to use it in the book on the yellow side just because I wasn't sure about putting cross stitch and sewing and that sort of thing in this particular book, but it's there if you want to use it. Little scraps of the stripe and the floral especially because I use that on my covers. Now on the stripes you'll notice there's a lot of fun crop type stuff. I didn't put this inside the book because I was afraid it would be too busy in a 4.5 inch format. You only get to see about this much of it. And I was afraid if I tried to add pictures or something else that the busyness of the background would take away from what I was trying to showcase. So think about those things a little bit when you're choosing your papers and choosing which side of the papers to use. But again, just small scraps going through. I have a full sheet of this one. This one, again, I didn't use because of the busyness. The other side is that kind of turquoise polka dot that I did use, but I only used 1 sheet of it. I think these would be fun to just fussy cut out and add to the book in various places, or you could use a die and just isolate certain of the groups of characters and add them too. But again, I was concerned in the skinny book that these would be just maybe too much background noise for my pictures to show through. And then you can see I have another page of this yellow, which is also the hearts on the other side. So there's not a lot left from that big kit. All I'm saying is it takes a fair amount of paper for this folio. Covering it is super easy to do, again, because you have all straight surfaces, no pockets, no splits, no nothing. So just measure those things out, cover the pages, you're good to go. Excuse me. When putting together the naked folio, I suggested to you to use score tape to do it. When you're decorating, you can use the Tombow tape runners and other good strong tape runners. That will be just fine. You choose for that. It doesn't have the same stress as the book foundation itself. But again, just what a fun little folio to put together. And it'll be a lot of fun to decorate and fill with lots of memories from the crops. I'm sure that as it gets filled, lots more of the stickers and things like that will make their way into the book, because that's the idea. And you do have to make a decision when you're putting one together. Are you giving someone a filled book, so it's already filled with the photos and memories? If so, it's a little easier to know how to decorate. If not, I tend to decorate on the light side because I don't know what they will want to put inside, so I want to leave them plenty of room. I often give them whatever's left over in stickers and other sorts of things so that they can add to the pages with those as they add their photos and memories. So thanks for joining me today. Again, this is Photoplay's Folio 3. Thanks. Bye.